A walk to forget.
I like that one.
Thank you.
I think that's good. I'm going to give you your first point for that.
It's probably the only one I'm going to get because I was thinking that was the best one. I like that one too.
Well, it's not all about titles. It's about the content of the story.
Well, it's going to get interesting. Like I said, this is all true.
All right.
So thus far, just the normal date night, horror movie, whatever. But my mom came downstairs shortly after the movie was over and said it was getting late enough that my brother should be coming home. Probably like evening. There's still sunlight, but the sun's definitely on its way down. But she told me the name of the kid he was supposed to be hanging out with and asked Becca and I if we could go out and like try to find him. This is before any of us had cell phones, so we couldn't just like call him. We didn't know the kid's phone number, but we knew where he lived. And at this point, it was more common, like, okay, he's not come home. You just go over there and you go get him and tell him to come home. That was kind of the setup back then. So she asked if we could go find him and tell him to come home. And we're like, yeah, we thought it'd be kind of nice to get out of the house for a bit, have like a evening stroll away from the horror movie. So we headed out. And to describe the neighborhood layout real quick, there's a lot of different streets. Our street was toward the back of the neighborhood. Most of the streets ended in cul-de-sacs, and the cul-de-sacs had trails that connected them. So where my brother was at, we could have taken the dark, creepy cul-de-sac path, which would have been a shortcut and saved us a lot of time, and gotten almost right to where he was supposed to be hanging out. Or we could have gone around like 3 or 4 streets to get there, which was much more well lit, but a much longer walk. Which path do you think we chose? The shortcut or the long, well-lit path?
Long, well-lit. I'm going to go with that.
The dumb one.
Which one's the dumb one? The long one or the shortcut?
The shortcut's the dumb one. Just decide.
All right.
Before that, a quick word from our sponsor. No one. No one is beside you when you're eating, pooping, sleeping. For now, you should stop sweating and swearing. 'Cause you just can't see. Or else you might flee. Don't turn your head. Or you'll be filled with dread. It's actually such a tragedy. For no one is a tad bit too ugly. No one is near. And you have nothing to fear. You can feel it in the air. No one is everywhere.
All right. So I preface this with the fact that I hate being scared, hate horror. I refuse to take the shortcut. We took the long path. We stayed on the well-lit path.
I did it! Yeah!
Yes, you did.
I got it!
Hell no.
That one's actually the dumb one. I changed my mind.
Oh, hey, you watch yourself. Hey, you watch yourself. That was a smart one. You might lose a point, Bob.
No, okay.
You might not be wrong in this case, Bob. You might not be wrong. But no, I was not going to walk some scary-ass trail after watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We were not going into the woods at all. Nope, screw that. So we walked down our street, we're chit-chatting about the movie or, this or that, whatever topics came up at the time. Turned onto the next street we needed to traverse. Everything was going well. There was ample light from the street lights, still a little bit of sunlight coming down, so the road was mostly well lit. Made it down the 3rd street, got to my brother's friend's house. Again, nothing interesting happening so far. Smooth, hassle-free walk. But we didn't see my brother's scooter in the driveway, so we knocked on the door. His friend's parents answered and they said, oh, no, they left a little while ago. And they thought that my brother and his friend were coming to our house. Okay. Well, we didn't see him along the way. He definitely wasn't at our house, so where was my brother? So this is where some of the fear starts to creep in from, just watching the horror movie, and then all of a sudden my brother's like, quote unquote, missing. But knowing my brother and like trying to let logic overtake emotion, I figured maybe they'd stopped at one of his other friends' houses in the neighborhood and they were hanging out there. But I was a bit worried. Becca and I were like, you know what? We're already out here walking around. Let's go ahead and check a couple more houses before we head all the way back home. Still refusing to take that shortcut. Neither of us again had cell phones, so we couldn't call him or my mom. It was just a matter of like walk to the friends' houses. So we decided to walk a few more friends' houses. So 2 of the possibilities were kind of on our path back home anyway. So we decided to check those 2 houses. So we turned and started retracing our steps back home. The first house, there were no lights on, no scooter in sight. It looked like no one was there. So we're like, I don't think he's here. So we'll just pass on that one. We continue down the road. The sun is almost fully set at this point, but there's still a good amount of light from the street lights. And up ahead at an intersection between 2 streets, right under a street light, there's a lady walking what looked to be like a little kind of terrier or something. As we got closer, the lady was, just standing there with her dog doing its business. She looked to be in her 40s or 50s, short reddish brown hair, but she was wearing what looked to be like a nightgown, which was a little weird. Not like a super flowy nightgown, but definitely not like I'm going to go outside on a long walk attire. The dog was well behaved. I honestly don't remember much about the dog as we passed by. I was more worried about finding my brother. I was thinking like maybe this lady might have seen him riding around on a scooter. So I walked up and I said, excuse me, ma'am. Have you seen a couple boys running around possibly on like scooters or bikes? She turned around, cocked her head to the side and like Do you know like when you say something to a dog and they like cock their head in a really like uncomfortable looking way, but it's really kind of cute? She did that, but it wasn't cute. It was unsettling the way she cocked her head and like looked at me and made eye contact. And her response was, in like an almost bemused tone of voice. And it gave me chills. Again, this is probably all influenced by watching the horror movie, but she seemed like one of the characters right out of it. Just so unsettlingly creepy, and the tone of voice, I don't know, sent chills down my spine. At the time though, it was, okay, I'll just repeat my question. She probably didn't hear me. I'm looking for my brother. Was curious if you'd seen a little boy on a scooter, possibly with a friend or a couple friends. In the same tone, she goes, a little boy? What? Yes, I said, that little boy's my brother, and I'm trying to find him as he needs to go home as it's getting late. Little boy? The little boy needs to go home? So yeah, I'm freaking out. This is exactly how she's talking. I mean, this is exactly how she's talking. I wish I could call up Becca and have her come confirm my story, because this is something we've talked about for a long time after. So I have goosebumps. I got goosebumps now talking about it, just remembering it. So I just, yes. If you see a little boy on a scooter, can you please tell him to go home? Yes. The little boy should go home. Go home. She answered. Go home. Go home. Go home. Home. So she continues down the road. Again, we're at an intersection where Becca and I have to turn left to go to the next house and then head back to where I lived. Instead of turning left, this lady kept going straight down another road. Thank God she wasn't going the same way we were. So she kind of starts to disappear down that road. We go left and we are just looking at each other like, what the fuck was that? That was the most unsettling interaction I've ever had in my life. But this is not the scariest thing to happen on this walk. We have not yet reached.
Can I just jump in and say, so when I watch movies and stuff, and I get that this was then like the age before cell phones, but even still, when I watch movies and things, I always balk at people who behave exactly the way you just behaved. This woman that you talked to was a stranger, right?
Yeah.
You were sent to retrieve your brother, which first of all, phones still existed.
We didn't have the friend's phone number.
Sure, but like phone book, like I wasn't allowed to go hang out at friends' houses unless my parents could like call. Like it's a whole thing. But like phones existed. But fine, you were sent to retrieve your brother. You saw a stranger on the street in an area where your brother maybe had been, and you were just like, let me just ask this stranger if they've seen any small children around. I would never do that. That's the kind of shit that a non-essential movie character does that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
So
no one acts like that. That's weird behavior. I just want to point that out. It's bothering me.
What do you have to say about that, Wade? It's weird behavior.
Well, this is a neighborhood where like everyone gathers together. There's like a central basketball court pool area. There's a lot of like everyone knows everyone kind of vibe here. I mean, obviously people come and go from the neighborhood, they move in and move out, but mostly like everyone is kind of aware of someone who knows someone. So ultimately everyone in the neighborhood can kind of eventually find out who someone is. So this is not a neighborhood where like everyone's super to themselves and secretive. This is a very like everyone kind of interacts with each other, waves, makes small talk when they pass by, kind of friendly neighborhood. So it wasn't uncommon for people to approach you that you didn't know. There was just a lot of conversations with a lot of different people there.
Yeah, it's a lot of justification for saying that you're weird.
Probably, yeah. My grandparents lived in a neighborhood that was very similar, but ultimately, other than those two times, I don't know, I feel like the world's changed.
Back on topic, back on topic. If I had a gavel, I'd be banging it right now. Get back to the climax.
All right, I will talk about the changing in the world and these great points. All right.